YouTube doing? Oh, here it is. Okay, so here we are, and we're streaming on YouTube. I don't know if that many people will be actually watching this, as it's just practice session, but they're welcome to. I guess if someone were able to watch it, they might as well just join, really. I don't think about that. I don't think anyone would be watching. I guess if anyone is watching, I'll just post the link to the YouTube for the Gather Town, and you're welcome to just come in and join us. That would actually make a lot more sense. So I'll just say that. Here is the link. Okay, so everyone can unmute because it's a small group, and we're just going to be working through. These debates. So here we have what I'm talking about. The only difference, like you can see on the first page, it just has these challenger, defender, CD, CD, CD. So you can keep track better of who's speaking. And then we have a little bit of a difference in this debate on the cloud colors, and then just a few extra questions on the bottom here. But otherwise, it's the same document. So now just to reiterate that questions are always welcome. And so if you have any question now about what we had covered in the previous 2 sessions, it's a good time to ask. And if not, we'll just do a quick overview of this material again and break out into small groups. Or all of us, I guess we can stay together because there are only 6 of us here. But that's a good size, actually, 6-person group. So any questions? You can... Okay, we have Yeshe Gyalpo has a hand up, so please come on up. And again, you guys can basically unmute and we can just chat, really. Go ahead.
How do the debates actually end? Like, other than, like, the provision video says that you'll get stuck in a incongruent statement or impossible statement, but otherwise, how do debates actually end?
Yeah, that's a good question. So a debate will end with one of 2 things happening. Time runs out. That's probably the most common. And number 2, your interest in the question has run out, or you really feel like you've settled it. So interest running out could be that you've just asked all the questions you could think of, given all the reasons you could think of, and now, okay, we just debated for 45 minutes and I'm out. Move on to another topic. And you just switch. If you still have, like in the monastery, as well as probably any formal setting, will you ever do this, there'll be some kind of schedule, time frame. So you have a whole hour. You can't just, walk away and go, grab a cup of tea or whatever. So you just move on to it. You just switch your subject, switch your topic. And otherwise, you might really be having a genuine doubt about some question, and you work through it with your debating partner. You really feel, you really have a synergy going where you feel like you're getting somewhere, and you sort of settle the question, settle your doubt. So that would be a way that you can end it as well. So those are really the 3 options. And sometimes some people you will see, they're just their style, their personality is not to end a question. They'll just keep going and going and going and going. Just keep trying to find new ways to, poke a hole in someone's position. Okay, so that's fine as well. Good question. Okay, no more hands are up. And what are we going to do now? What we're going to do is, again, we're going to get in a group, all 6 of us. We'll just go outside even though we're already in here and together, we might as well go outside and get the fresh air. And then we're going to practice this script again. And we can have a few people together, and then, a couple people, 2 or 3 people questioning, 2 or 3 people answering, 2 or 3 people, or however many people can just listen. And then we'll start to actually get into some logic debate today, right? I think the difficulty with only doing counting debate is it will get boring, right? You don't want to really just sit there repeating. It's nice to jog your memory, but none of you guys have been asked to memorize this material yet, so we can't just say, okay, now pull it up for memory and do your counting debate because we don't expect you to have memorized it. Maybe some people who are in the debate program with Atisha. Okay, we have a question from Cindy, it looks like. Come on up if you want to ask.
Sorry, this is a procedural question, Donya.
Okay.
For what you posted here, and that's when we got knocked out. So how do I find these debate scripts?
What did I post? Where? You got knocked.
How do I find what you posted here on the screen? The debate script number 1, etc.
Yeah, that's in the Slack forum in day one, the channel that's has the hashtag day one, and it's just a PDF file. That is, are you in the Slack forum? I have it up here. So day one, it's the most recent post.
Okay, we just found it. Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and print it out. Thank you.
Sorry. Yeah, if you have to print it out, then you may. Sorry about that.
No, it'll be quick, but I've got it. I mean, I know this general debate, but I just
And Cindy, I think you probably weren't here the earlier sessions then, right? So
no,
that's why I understand now. I see you're just coming. Okay, gotcha. Good. And so the terminology may be a little different from what you're used to, but no problem. Okay, so if there aren't any questions, without further ado, okay, there's one other question. Sajit, I'm not sure. Please go ahead. No? I think you're still muted, and if you... Okay, there we go.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes.
So I was in the previous session, but not in the first one. So maybe my question was already answered because I live in California. So when you say, in the debate, it says like it follows that you can posit the definition of form, and then it says take the subject that which is suitable as form. So what does it? I'm not sure that I understood what does mean that is suitable as form. Is this like the definition?
That is the definition as given in this context.
Okay.
Okay. And I mentioned also that there's another way of rendering that phrase, translating from the Tibetan Sanskrit, as that which is capable of materiality. So you can, if that makes more sense to you, you can posit that one. That which is capable of materiality. Okay, so they maybe are pointing somewhere similar. Alrighty, so let's go and hop in one of these bubbles outside. Oh, someone said they couldn't hear Sajit's question, so I'll just repeat it, which was, what is this definition, that which is suitable as form? Is that the definition of form? What's up with that? That was the question. Okay, so let's go outside and hop in one of these big bubbles. Okay, number 16 looks like a bigger one. Some of them are smaller, some of them are bigger. So, good. Just make sure if some people can't find it, I'll write a note to everyone. We are in bubble 16. Bubble number 16, which is how to describe it. To the right of the courtyard, main courtyard. Okay, I think we're only missing Betty now, right? Betty, where did she go? Okay, so here she is. Okay, wonderful. So we're all here. So we have this debate script. Yeah, I have it on the screen share, so if people want to just see it that way, that's fine, right? So we have an hour now. We have roughly 45 minutes now. So we'll just, again, get it out of your mouth. Let it roll off your tongue. And that's just one way of training a skill, right? Not just training the mind, but training the body too. So we'll just start, and whoever wants to be a challenger, go ahead. Whoever wants to, maybe we should at least state that just so people, so we all like know who's doing what. Okay, so if you want to be a challenger, just say I. Anyone? Takers. Someone has to. I'll do it if someone else joins me, not alone. Okay, good. We have three challengers, so we'll have three defenders. Okay. Okay, and who is this? Sajid and Cindy, of course, and then Bia is with us. Betty and Yashigelpo. Okay, great. So we're gonna start with the challenge of a wisdom duel. So Cindy, you missed this part. The way we're starting the debates is by, this is my invention, I'll take full responsibility for it, is by saying, I challenge you to a duel, a wisdom duel. Dee! So just like that.
I challenge you to a duel.
Wisdom duel. Dee! Good. So it follows that you can, everyone together.
It follows
that you can posit the definition of form.
I accept.
Okay, posit it.
Take the subject, that which is suitable is form.
Take the subject, that which is suitable as form. It follows that
it is the definition of
form.
I accept.
It follows you can posit the definition of form.
I accept.
What
are they?
Take the subject, external form
and internal form.
and internal form.
Take the subject,
External
External form and internal form.
It follows these are the divisions of form.
I accept.
I accept.
Can you posit
the definition of external form?
I accept.
Posit.
I accept.
Oh, and now
Take the subject, that which is suitable as form and not included within the continuum of a person.
take the subject, that which is suitable as form and not included within the continuum of a person.
It follows that
the
it's the
definition
definition
of
of
external form.
Form.
I accept.
I accept.
Can you posit
Can
the
you posit the
divisions of
divisions of
external
external
form?
Yes.
Yes.
What are they?
What are they?
Take the subject,
The subject.
form source,
Source.
sound source,
Source.
smell
Smell. Source. Taste.
source, tactile
Tactile. Object. Source.
Good, then take the subject.
Form
Source,
source,
sound source, smell source, taste source, tactile object source. It follows these are the divisions of external form.
I
I
accept.
accept.
It follows you can posit the definition of form source.
I
I
accept.
accept.
Posit it.
Consider the subject, an object apprehended
by an
in
eye
consciousness.
consciousness.
Consider the subject, an object apprehended by an eye consciousness. It follows that it's the definition of form source.
I accept.
I accept.
Can you posit the divisions of form source?
I accept.
I accept.
What are they?
Take the subject,
The subject, shape
color.
and color.
Take the subject, shape, and color. It follows they are
Follows
the
the divisions of form and source.
I accept.
I accept.
And it follows you can
Follows
posit
to posit the definition of shape.
I accept.
I accept.
Posit it.
Take the subject, that which is suitable as shape.
As shape.
Consider the
Consider the
subject,
subject
that which is suitable as shape. It follows that is the definition of shape.
I accept.
I accept.
Can you
Can you
posit
posit
the divisions of shape?
I accept.
I accept.
And what
What
are
are
they?
Consider the subject.
Long,
Long, short,
short,
high,
high,
low,
low,
square, round,
round,
level,
level,
not
non-level.
level.
Consider the
Subject.
subject.
Long,
Long, short,
short,
high,
high,
low,
low,
square,
square, round,
round, level,
level,
non-level.
non-level.
It follows
these
these
are
are
the
the divisions of
shape.
shape.
I
I
accept.
accept.
Can
you
you
posit
deposit
the
the
definition
definition of a long shape?
I
I
accept.
What
accept.
What
is
is it?
Take the subject, that which is suitable as a long shape.
Shape.
Take
Take
the subject,
that which is suitable as a long shape. It
It
follows
follows
that
it's
it's
the definition of long shape.
I
I
accept.
accept.
It follows that you can posit the definition of color.
I accept.
I accept.
Posit it.
Take the subject, that which is suitable as a hue.
For you.
Take
Take
the
the
subject,
subject,
that which
that
is
which is
suitable
suitable
as a hue. It follows
it
that
follows that
it's
that's
the
the
definition
definition
of
of
color.
color.
I
I
accept.
accept.
Can you
Can you
posit
posit
the divisions of colors?
divisions of colors?
I accept.
Posit them.
Posit them.
Take the subject,
The subject.
primary colors and secondary colors.
Secondary colors.
Take
Take
the subject,
primary
primary
colors,
colors
and
and
secondary
secondary
colors.
colors.
It follows
follows
they
There
are
are
the
divisions
divisions
of
of
colors.
colors.
I accept.
I accept.
Can you posit the definition of primary color?
Yes.
Yes.
And what is
What
What
it?
is it?
Take the subject,
Take the subject.
that which is suitable as a primary hue.
Take the subject, that which is
That
suitable
is suitable
as a primary hue. It follows that
it's
it's the definition of primary color.
I accept.
I accept.
It follows you can posit the
Definitions
divisions of primary colors.
colors.
I accept.
I accept.
And
Posit
posit
them.
them.
Take the subject, blue, yellow,
Yellow, red,
red, white.
white.
Take the subject,
blue,
yellow, red, white.
white.
It
It
follows these are the divisions of primary color.
I
I
accept.
accept.
And it follows you can posit the
The
divisions of
divisions of secondary colors.
I
I
accept.
And
accept.
what are they?
Take the
Take the
subject,
subject, the color of a cloud, which is a
cloud of
secondary
a cloud, which is a secondary color.
color of dust,
The
which is a
color of
secondary
smoke,
Color of smoke.
dust,
Color of dust. Color of mist.
color.
the
Darkness,
color of illumination,
color of shadow, which is
Color of
darkness,
darkness.
the color of shadow,
Shadow.
the color of sunlight, which is a
Sunlight is a
secondary color.
secondary color.
Take
Take
the
the
subject,
subject,
the color
of
of cloud, which is a secondary color, the color of smoke, the color
color
of
of dust,
the color of mist,
mist,
the color of
color of
illumination,
illumination,
the color of darkness, the color
the
of
color of
shadow,
shadow,
and the
the
color
color
of sunlight, which is a secondary color.
secondary color.
It follows those are
Those
the
are the
divisions
divisions
of secondary colors.
colors.
I accept.
I accept.
And can you posit the definition of a cloud color, which is a secondary color?
Yes.
Posit
that.
Take the subject, a secondary color, which is suitable as the hue of a cloud.
Take the subject, the secondary color, which is the hue
suitable
of a
as the
cloud.
hue of a
Suitable as the
cloud.
hue of a cloud.
It
It follows
follows
that it
that
is
is
the
the
definition of
the
the
color
color
of
of cloud,
which is
which is a
secondary
secondary
color.
color.
I accept.
I accept.
Okay, well now let's try to move into the logic debate. So here we have a question about cloud colors. It follows that, everyone together, this one, where it says
follows
C, that if something is the color of cloud, it is necessarily a secondary color. Now here, we're going to stop the script and actually debate. So, what do you guys think? Now you just use your noggins.
Well, it's a problem because white is a primary color, but if it's a color of cloud, then it's secondary color.
There you
I feel
go.
like it's
So you answer either you accept it or deny it, one or the other.
so I deny.
Okay. I hope that's your teammates accept. So they're denying it, guys. So you were the first to speak up, so we'll just that's kind of how it happens. The first person to speak gets to
But
control
she
if
would say why, not, wouldn't she say why,
yeah,
not
so let's ask
deny?
again, and so you guys say why. Okay. So the question again is down here. It follows that if something is the
is the
color
color of
of
a
a
cloud,
cloud, it
it
is
is
necessarily
necessarily
a
secondary
secondary
color.
color,
I deny.
or just why. Yeah.
Oh, why?
So and so actually we didn't really go into what to do when you deny a statement of pervasion. So what we do now is we have to ask you for an example. It follows that, and we just repeat the question, but we give the reverse pervasion. It follows that if something
Something
is the
is
color
not the
of a
color of a
cloud,
cloud.
no, if it is the color of
It's
a
the color of a
cloud,
cloud.
it
It
is
is
not
necessarily
necessarily
not necessarily a secondary color.
I accept.
Okay, give us an example.
Should I? Is there a structure? It follows.
You would say take the subject and
Oh,
then state your example.
okay. Take the subject, the color of a white cloud.
Take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it is the color of a cloud.
Accept.
It follows that it's the color of a cloud because
Wait. Because the you how do you say it? Because the
And would you
so you
say
can
it's
give
the color,
any reason you'd like.
would it be the color of the cloud, or would you say it follows that it is a primary color?
How about it
Well, we
follows that a
can
cloud is something that can take color but is not color itself.
the color of a
So
cloud
it's
is
quality
not.
of cloud.
So now you guys have to. So you want to join I think the challenger side, right? Yashigo?
Yeah, that's where I've been.
All right. So why don't we? So
Go
let's
for it.
join the challenger side. Okay. So we're saying. So she's saying that the color of a white cloud is something which is the color of a cloud, but not a secondary color, right? That's why she didn't accept that pervasion. And so you're saying it's not the color of a cloud. Is that what we're trying to say? Take this subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it's not the color of a cloud. And what's your reason, Yashiko? Oh, you have one. Follows it's not the color of a cloud
But
Now I'm
because
confused.
it follows it's not a primary color, that the color of the cloud is not a primary color.
well, that hasn't come up yet as a question, but we could ask that one. So
Oh, because you said it is necessarily a secondary color, so it
yeah,
is secondary color.
we're
came up.
looking at right now. Is there something which is color of a cloud but not a secondary color? Because
Okay,
the cloud
Okay.
color is one of the divisions of secondary colors, right?
Got
Color
it.
of cloud. So that's why now we have a subject, the color of a white cloud. So take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it is a color. Let's go simple, right?
got it.
Follows that it's a color?
Yes.
accept.
Accept.
Okay. It follows that it is the color white.
Yes.
Yeah, accept.
Except. Okay, so it follows that it is the color white, and it follows that it is the color of a cloud.
Yes, I accept.
Yes. Okay, it follows that it is a secondary color. Follows it is either primary color or a secondary color. One or the two. One or the other.
Is your subject cloud or is your subject white at this point?
No, the color of a white cloud.
Yeah, the color of the cloud.
The color of a white cloud. It's either a primary color or a secondary color.
But you would ask it as choosing one or the other.
Yeah, either or. Yeah, you have to choose either
Yes.
one or the other.
Binary precision.
How do you get back to white as a primary color?
Right. So that's what we're asking. I mean, the
You just
color of
have
a
to.
white cloud. So we could say it follows that if something is the color white, it is necessarily a primary color.
I accept.
So take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows it is a primary color.
Not necessarily.
It's either I accept or why. Only one or two. Only one or the other. You have to give it a yes or no. This is where the logic gets tricky because you have to hold one position.
Why?
It follows. It's not a primary color. Take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows it is a primary color because it's the color white.
What now is again I accept or why, or it's a different after you
Now it's
explain?
no pervasion or prove it.
Prove it.
Prove it. The color of a white cloud. Take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it is not white.
Ooh.
If that's what you denied, the reason it being white. It's
Why?
it follows it is white, right? Color of a white cloud.
Yeah.
It follows it's white, right? Why? Let me ask you. It follows it's white because I'll leave you to give a reason.
Because when you look in the sky, it's white.
Because when you look in the sky, it's white. Because it looks white.
Sorry, jumping to the other side, don't you?
No problem. That's good. We can move around.
And could you have said because it is a primary color? And this is this white is the primary colors are 3 colors in white, right? And
Yes.
Yeah.
So there's two different things that you're asking, right? If you say
Is
the
in this
reason to
system
prove
is
that it's
white
right now we're trying to prove that it's white. The color of a white cloud is the color white. So if you
Right.
use that as a reason because it's a primary color, you're saying that there's a pervasion there, that all the primary colors are necessarily white.
Oh,
All the
all of them?
If you were to give that as your reason, that's what that means.
Oh,
right?
I see.
That's what you're
Yes.
asserting. If you give that as a reason.
Got it. Okay.
So take the subject, the color of a white cloud. So Cindy has a good reason, right? It follows that it's the color white because when you look at it, it looks white. Right? You look up at the sky and look at it, and it looks white. Does that sound pretty clear?
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay, so take the subject. So then we can convert that into a statement of pervasion, right? She just gave a reason. There has to be a pervasion. So it follows that if something looks white, it's necessarily the color white.
No pervasion.
No. Okay, so now we have to give it. So it follows that if something. So take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it's the color white because. Now you have to give another reason.
It is suitable as a primary hue.
Or as a white hue. Yeah, it's suited. There you go. Just give the definition. It's suitable as a white hue. Okay, then that pervasion holds. If it follows that if something is suitable as a white hue, it is necessarily the color white.
I accept.
Sure.
No.
Oh, good. We have a challenge. Okay, well, let's hear what this is. If not, then if it follows that if something is suitable as a white hue, it is not necessarily white.
No, I'm sorry. If it's white hued, yes, I thought about primary hue.
Oh, yes. That I see. I just was saying white hue, but you did say primary hue. So white, if it's white hue, then it's necessarily white. Good. Okay, because that's the definition of white, right? So we can basically more or less be content to accept that. Now, let's take this subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows that it is suitable as a white hue.
I accept.
It follows it is
Wow.
not suitable as a white hue because it is a multicolored hue.
Accept.
Is it a multicolored hue? That's my reason now. So you would either say you could accept it, or you would say the reason's not true, or prove it, right? Prove it, or no pervasion. Now you can join me because you were the one to originally Sajid or Sajid.
Yes.
You were you were the one to posit that example. So if you want to now switch and become a questioner, it's up to you.
Oh, it's fine. I'm still learning the language, so it's good to just
Right.
like the way you do it.
So it follows.
Can you state? Yeah, go ahead and restate that, Donya.
Okay, so take the subject. So we have a three-part syllogism now, right? I'm mixing it up, so I know maybe I should be sort of saying what's a thesis statement, what's a statement of pervasion, and then what's a three-part syllogism. So here I just gave a three-part syllogism. Take the subject, the color of a white cloud. It follows it's not suitable as a white hue because it is a multicolored hue.
I accept.
Anyone else want to give any other challenge to it?
I don't think white is multicolored.
But why? But so if I want to, why is it colored?
No, so you would say if you don't accept it, then you should say as the answerer, as the defender, prove it. Right. That's
And so I say, so I would just say why, prove it.
Prove it.
Okay.
After a reason, you say either prove it or no pervasion.
Okay, prove it.
Prove it. Follows it's a multicolored hue because as it's hit by light at different angles, its color changes to red and yellow and orange.
But then it's not white.
So how did light get in there?
Well, that's what I gave as my reason. The subject. What's the subject again? Can everyone remember? Just so we're on the same page, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just repeat what the subject is here. We have one subject.
White
Color
cloud.
of
Color like a white cloud.
Color of white cloud.
Color of a white cloud. Good. So now we just have one subject and we're just moving around it, looking at different aspects of it.
right.
Seeing, okay, is it a color? Yeah, no one denied that. Okay, it's a color. It's a primary color. It's white, suitable as a white hue. Well, now I'm saying it's not suitable as a white hue because it's a multicolored hue. So I'm now denying something about what you guys accepted or someone did. So why is it a multicolored hue? Because Betty she didn't buy that reason. She said prove it. It's a multicolored hue because it's something that changes colors as it gets hit by light at different angles.
No pervasion.
No pervasion. So now how would you say that? Can you repeat this non-pervasion? What is the pervasion you're denying?
The multicolored cloud. If something is a multicolored cloud, it's not a white cloud.
Well, no, that would be accepting. That's what I'm trying to say.
Well,
you're trying to say if the reason I gave.
It can't be the same. It can't be one. It can't be also white and at the same time multicolored.
No, that's right. But I'm trying to prove that it isn't white because it's multicolored. So I'm saying it's only multicolored, not white.
And I'm saying
now the reason that I just gave. Let's go back through that another three-part syllogism. Take the subject, the color of a white cloud. Subject. It follows that it is a multicolored hue. Predicate. Because, what's the reason? It changes color as it's struck by light at different angles. So now the reason is saying that should prove that it's multicolored. If you say no pervasion, what does that mean? What's the if-then statement when you say no pervasion?
If something is multicolored, if something changes, it's no longer the same thing.
And so here we're just looking at now the
The
reason
reason,
and predicate. So you'd say if something changes its color as it's struck by light at different angles, it's
We
not
no longer have the
necessarily
same.
multicolored. It's not necessarily multicolored or multicolored hue, to be exact with the same exact wording.
So what you're saying, what you said, just to repeat, if a thing, but we're saying a cloud. So would we specify cloud? If a cloud is hit by light, it is not necessarily a multicolored hue, because it could be white.
Well, that's the question. I mean, that's something that we haven't addressed directly yet. But just what does it mean to say no pervasion to the reason I gave? It simply means, if you're to restate it in an affirmative, full if-then pervasion statement, what you would say is, if something changes color, or a cloud, but something you can just say something. If something changes color when struck by different light at different angles, it is not necessarily a multicolored hue. It is not necessarily a
so
multicolored hue.
so the no provision is for the reason and for the
So if a
No
cloud is
pervasion.
struck by light, it is not necessarily a multicolored hue.
But like it's just like the same way you have the color, the cloud, and light. We're also talking about time, and no one's mentioned time because if it's struck in the moment it's struck, it's not multicolored hue at that moment, but it's whenever over time it becomes multicolored.
Yeah, so that's right. I mean, so that's sort of where you would have to draw out that distinction. Yeah. So
And how, so
so
you
you
would
would
say
say
no
you would also
pervasion,
say no pervasion, right? You would
like
have to
no
say no
pervasion
pervasion.
unless it was that one split second.
Yeah,
Or
so that's what Betty's just highlighting, like the logic behind it is that, well, yes, it's true. So we wouldn't say prove it. We don't deny the reason. It is true that as it's struck by different wavelengths or different angles of light, its color changes. But that doesn't that doesn't mean it has to be a multicolored hue. It just means that it will change its hue in the future or at some time, right? But what is the subject we're referring to? Again, the color of a white
white
cloud.
cloud.
Color of a white cloud itself, it's still white. It's white itself. Yeah, later it will change, but right, I mean, the color of a white cloud, that subject hasn't yet changed, hasn't yet become a different color. So,
What happens if you want to add a different reason?
sorry? Repeat
What
that.
happens when you want to give a different reason? Not yeah. So how do you do it?
A different reason to prove that it's not a white hue?
Yes.
Well, you could just give a different reason. So you could say, take the subject color of a white cloud. It follows that it is not a white hue because it is, and then it is a not a, because it is not a primary hue. It is not suitable as a primary hue.
and how do you work in the idea that like the definition of multicolored? Because is it all the colors at one time or all the colors in sequence? How do you make that distinction?
Yeah, you will have to probably, work it through in your debating, but I think generally, if you don't specify, a temporal continuum stretching over a certain length of time, then you don't really have to account for the changes. You're talking about a white cloud, the color of a white cloud. So you're talking about that phenomenon, which can be identified, can be suitable as a white hue of a white cloud from the moment of its arising until the moment of its disintegration. So if it's only there from 2 p.m. until 4 p.m. and floating through the sky, then that's what we're talking about. We're not talking about what it becomes afterwards, what it was earlier, what its causes or effects are. That's a different subject. Then we would say, take the subject, the effects of the color of a white cloud, the causes of the color of a white cloud.
And so, and I also want to make sure I understand. So the first thing you say if you don't accept it is why.
When
And
it's a
then,
thesis.
right, and then you hear the why, and if you still don't accept it, you say, prove it.
Yeah, you hear the reason given. So now you have a two-pronged statement, just subject, predicate. You respond by saying why when you don't accept that predicate. It's called the thesis, the two together, right? Subject plus predicate equals thesis. So you say why. Now to prove that thesis is true, that the predicate is true, I come out with another reason. It follows that it is not white because it's multicolored. To keep it simple, right? So now you have a three-part syllogism, and so after that reason, you say prove it.
Oh, so it's got it. Okay, got it. Right, that's a good reason. Right.
Cool. Okay, so let's hear. So yeah, so we're sort of sliding off of the debate format itself because it's new and hard to keep it keep it up. So let's try with a different question. So
Can I ask a question first?
yeah, okay.
So if you give a statement of pervasion and we only go back to the predicate, not to the subject. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yep, we're gonna go more over that tomorrow. That's right. When you give a reason, you're looking at the connection between the reason. I'm sorry, when you are thinking about the reason, if you say prove it or the reason's not true, you are denying a connection between the reason and the subject, saying that subject, so the color of a white cloud, follows it's not white because it's multicolored. If you say the reason is not true, you're saying that color of a white cloud is in fact not multicolored. The reason is not true of the subject. If you were to say no pervasion, you would be accepting that the color of a white cloud is multicolored, but then saying something about the relation between the reason and predicate. Just because the reason is true, it isn't necessarily the case that the predicate must be true. Just because something is multicolored doesn't mean it is not white. So
that would have been a good way to make the next. That would have been the next statement. Just because a cloud is multicolored doesn't necessarily mean it is white. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's not white.
Yeah, it's not white. You could say that, and then I would. So just something multicolored doesn't mean it's not necessarily not white. So that would ask you then if it follows that. Let me just go on from there. It follows that if something is multicolored, it is necessarily white.
Why?
Okay, so give an example. Something which is, on the one hand, multicolored, on the other hand, not white.
A red cloud.
A red cloud. Take the subject, a red cloud. It follows that it is multicolored.
No pervasion.
So that's why we're trying to find something which you're trying to now give an example of something which you accept as multicolored, but not white.
Rainbow.
A rainbow.
An iridescent bubble.
A rainbow.
A rainbow. Okay, I didn't hear the other one. A rainbow. Take the subject, a rainbow. It follows that it is multicolored.
I accept.
Okay, it follows it is not white.
I accept.
It is not white because?
It's because it's multicolor.
Because it's multicolored. So, well, that was, but so Cindy, I mean, we have to hold some consistency. So Cindy said if something is multicolored, it isn't necessarily non-white. So she was saying there's something which is both. Now you're saying that it is necessarily non-white, but that's okay. So take the subject rainbow. It follows that it is white because it contains a white light which has been broken up into its constituent frequencies.
So if we were to say I accept at this point, does that end the debate?
Not necessarily. We could keep going because I could just turn around my again. The questioner can just keep, you can prove something and then the very next moment turn around and disprove it. Okay, just give another reason.
Is that because this is samsara? And so let's try that. So I accept that
So
it's
that is white. You accept that it's white.
right. That the multicolors are white, broken down into its many components.
So then, is there a pervasion? If something is the color of white light that's broken up into its component wavelengths, it follows it is necessarily the color white.
No pervasion.
No pervasion. So it follows that it is. Take the subject, the color of a rainbow, or a rainbow. It follows that it is white light broken into its component wavelengths.
Accept.
Okay. So it follows that it is a result of the color white.
Accept.
So it follows
Why?
that something is why. Okay. It follows it's the result of a color white because the color white because it was preceded by a color white, which was then, how do you say it? It was
Are the different
divided
colors
into different
the
wavelengths.
are
Refracted.
they the aggregates of white?
It is an aggregate of white.
A rainbow is white light broken down into its colors.
Yeah, that's
So
how
those
it's
colors are
understood.
aggregates of white.
So the colors are aggregates of white. Well, I would say that white is an aggregate of all those colors, probably. Right? So what was right? I mean, because if you combine all of them, it goes both ways, right? If you have a prism and you shine white light through it, then you get a rainbow. But if you
Right.
also shine all the colors of light together onto one point, it turns into white light, right?
Oh, yeah.
So it follows that white light and rainbow colored light have a cause-effect relationship.
Accept.
Follows they do not have a cause-effect relationship because they are not chronological. They're not sequential.
Oh, accept. What was I thinking?
No, I don't think that's correct.
This is an interesting question, actually, right?
Exactly.
Is the color is the rainbow is the color of a rainbow white? Is it a result of white? So that's a question we can keep going with, right? So
Right.
let's just try and focus on one point, though. It follows that it is, take the subject, the color of a rainbow. It follows that it is both, it follows that it is multicolored.
Accept.
Accept.
It follows that it is suitable as a multicolored hue.
Accept.
Accept.
It follows that it is both suitable as a multicolored hue and suitable as a white hue.
Accept.
Accept.
No.
Prove it.
Prove it.
Why? This time it's just why, because there's no
Why?
reason yet.
Oh, yeah,
no
why?
reason yet. Why? It follows that it's suitable as both a multicolored hue and as a white hue because it has all the colors, all the primary colors, and it is I'm trying to think of the right wording. I was going to say it's composed of white, but that's sort of the opposite. It's
Result?
it's a result, yeah, but it comprises, there you go, it comprises the color white. It forms the color white. Take the subject, the color of a rainbow. It follows it's suitable as a white hue because it forms the color white.
Then you can say why again?
Now you would say prove it. That's a reason.
Okay, prove it.
It follows it
yeah.
forms the color white because combined into one point produces the color white.
What do you say?
Prove it.
Provide.
No provision. Okay, that's a different.
Provision.
No
Yeah.
provision. So you're accepting that that's true, but that doesn't mean it is the color white. Okay.
Yeah.
So it follows. I'll just restate that in the full form. It follows that if something, when combined together, forms the color white, it is not necessarily the color white.
I agree.
You
Accept.
Okay. So it follows. Take the subject, the color. So it follows that the color. So it follows that the color white. If something, here we go. It follows if something is the color white, it is necessarily formed of other colors, other non-white colors.
Accept.
You accept. Someone
Yes.
doesn't. Yoshikawa does not accept. Sajid accepts. Okay, well, we'll just go with who's, if we're already started going on a certain path, keep going. So you're saying that it does, if something is comprised of multiple colors, sorry, something white is necessarily comprised of multiple colors. So take the subject, the color of a white horse. It follows it follows it is comprised of multiple colors.
Can you say it again?
Take the subject, the color. I'll just say this. Let's just say take the subject, the color of white paint. It follows it is comprised of multiple colors.
No, but it's only with light that you can know.
Oh, paint, no.
Because
Paint,
it's only
Well, it depends if the paint is already painted on the wall.
because
And
the
different.
colors are for
So
white are only associated with light.
So take the subject, the color of white paint. It follows that it is comprised. It is not comprised of multiple colors.
Again?
Take the subject, the color of white paint. It follows it is not comprised of multiple colors.
Accept.
It follows it is comprised of multiple colors because it is the color white. You already accepted there's a provision. So this is a point where you would have to change one of your previously accepted positions, right?
And you have to apologize because I kept thinking about the colors of light would have a pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, but white would not.
There you go. That's flawless reasoning. Yes. Good. So we're coming actually up to the end of the hour. I know we didn't break up into pairs one-on-one, but it seemed like this was working, so I just figured we'd stay.
I liked it. And B, I'm so impressed you're doing this and it's not your primary language. Primary colors, primary language.
What is everyone's primary language?
English.
English.
Spanish.
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 Hebrew.
Hebrew. Oh, cool. Yeah. Shalom.
Danielle, can you clarify one thing? So we're saying why and we're saying prove it. Can you explain when we use why and when we use prove it?
Yeah, sorry, because I realized you weren't in the earlier
Oh,
session.
sorry.
So, I'm trying to give sort of options for how we answer and the terms we're using and let people just pick what's most comfortable. So when you give something that has just a subject and predicate, take the subject, it follows, it's that. Then you would say either why or I accept. Either why or I accept, those two answers. And then if you're giving a reason to prove that predicate, that thesis. So take the subject A, it follows as B because of C. That's when you then would say either prove it or no provision. So prove it. Why? Normally, what do they say? The reason's not established, right? You must have heard that phrasing because that's what's in most of the books that have debate explanation in them. So it's just another way of saying that, but a little bit more condensed. prove it. To me, I'm trying to find ways to streamline, so because English can get so wordy. Yeah. Okay, well, any other questions before we take off? It's just a couple minutes.
Thanks. This is good.
Thank you.
Cool.
Thank you
And
very much.
I realize, we're just beginning, so it's going to be a little tricky at first, and just hang in there. But the reality is, with this technology we have these days and this little virtual Sarah J, I mean, the opportunity to continue practicing debate really from anywhere in the world is there. So just to encourage you all that, you'll get your toes wet in a few days of a workshop, but we can always continue on. And I'm sure in your own little circles, I know some of you are studying very actively, so that's wonderful. Okay, very cool.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, see you
Thank
all
you.
tomorrow.
Thank
See
you.
you tomorrow.
Yeah, tomorrow. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Jonyola, can you stay on for a minute?
Yeah, I'm just gonna end the live stream, which
Okay.
don't think anyone was watching anyway. Okay, yes.